Welcome to Make Change Fun and Easy with your happiness expert, Samia Bano. This is the podcast to help change makers, coaches, trainers, and healers break your chains of fear so you can create the impact and income you desire with fun and ease. Please make sure you subscribe to enjoy every episode. This podcast is sponsored by the Happiness 101 program. Hello, salam, shalom, namaste, sat sri akal, aloha, hola, ciao, bonjour, buna, and privyet. It's really good to be with you again, and we have a very cool guest today, so I'm sure you'll be so happy you're tuning in. And my guest today is Cher Hayes. And Cher is a transformation facilitator. I think that's so cool. Welcome, Cher.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here, and aloha to everybody. I'm here in Hawaii, and I just can't get over how excited I am. This is so exciting. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome, Cher. I'm so happy to have you with us. And I will ask you to jump in and tell us more about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I've been a transformation facilitator for over 35 years. I stopped doing this for about 15 years and raising kids, stuff like that. And then I had this calling to come back. And so I wrote a book, and it's called One Only: Awaken to the Relationship. And so I wrote that like 3 years ago, but I haven't really followed up with it much. And now I'm getting a stronger calling. I feel it's time. I feel people in our field, it's time for us to level up. It's time for us to connect. It's time for us to share. It's time for us to help each other. And that's why I'm so excited to meet you. I mean, you are helping so many people. That's just wonderful. So just to, connect with each other, it's just all the things that you're doing and all the things that we're being called to do. So I'm coming back. And as I told you, I have a new program coming out actually this week. It's so exciting. And it's actually taking everything that I've done in my practice, all the studies, traveling the world, learning from mind-body educators and practitioners, and it's all coming together in this one thing. So it's just so exciting to do this. And I met you at the most perfect time, and this is how life works as we were talking, So yeah, it's called Creative Power Attunement. Mm-hmm. And it's, as we were talking about, once you tune in to that which created everything, right? Mm-hmm. Creating the life force, once you tune into that, once you're one with that, miracles happen. Life just, you realize, you really see it, you really are in it, you really live it, that it's all happening all the time. And once you communicate that to life, that, I'm here, I'm ready, teach me, show me, and I'm ready to give it, like that whole thing of sharing and receiving, giving and receiving just starts to flow. Once you open up to it, and like meeting you at the perfect time for this. So I'm real excited. Yeah, so my whole thing is really, it's always been about helping people to, first, most important, to change the program, to release all that's not really you, all that you've gathered from being in the womb all the way your whole life, all the patterns and belief systems and things that are not helping you in your life, that you feel that can be sabotaging you, all these false beliefs and traumas, and just things that we've collected in our subconscious, deep in our subconscious, that is really causing us to make decisions that we know in our heart and soul is not right for us, So my specialty is helping people purify that, helping people cleanse that out of their mind-body system. And that's what I really it's my gift because I have a gift of seeing it, but it's also my joy when they start to release it, when it starts to just come off, peel off, more just coming out, because then it reveals, their true self, and they start to feel it. They start to see it, and it's just like they start to live it. And it's just so exciting. I mean, it's just, to me, it's the most exciting thing to do, is to watch someone get rid of the stuff that's not truly them, and to feel more empowered, more alive, more energized, more connected, more at one, and more creative, right? Because when that starts to go away, that creative energy field just comes, it like takes over, and then you're just like, you're more attuned, you just know what's coming next. It's okay. It's like your knowing is there again too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I just got sorry. I totally get on a flow with this one. I'm so sorry. I take over.
No, don't be sorry.
Yeah.
I can feel your passion, and it's awesome. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. And you brought up like so many really, really like excellent points. I think, in terms of what I would love to follow up with you most about is, first of all, just tell me more about your perspective on what this creative power is all about, what's its source, what it's like, because I think, we all have sort of concepts and ideas, and sometimes we're using words that we think we understand each other, but actually we mean different things. And especially when we begin to talk about issues of spirituality and faith, I find that happens a lot, that I will use a certain term and I mean something that I know what I mean, and someone else says the same word or term to refer to something, but they're actually meaning something different. And then
right
we can have misunderstanding. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Hope you're getting value out of it. For your information, this episode has been sponsored by the Happiness 101 program. Are you a change maker, coach, trainer, or healer? Are chains of fear holding you back from making the impact and income you desire? Using a unique combination of positive psychology and the spiritual wisdom of our most effective change makers, the Happiness 101 program helps you break through your limiting beliefs and manifest the abundance and success you desire with fun and ease. Interested? Book a free Happiness 101 exploration call with me, your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Just use my online calendar link in the show notes. Now back to the show.
Right. I love the word that you use, source, because that's actually the word in my book. That's what I use the most. So words, yeah, it's very important, because a lot of words have triggers for people, right? And so I try to avoid those triggers, right? But words are also powerful. They carry power. Mm-hmm. So when you tune in, again, that's the whole thing, attunement, and tune in to certain words, they're thought forms, right? So it is important, the words you use. So to explain where I'm coming from, I have studied, I would say I've been obsessed with studying every religion that's out there, and I also traveled the world studying from different healers, from different religions, different mindsets, different spiritual sets, stuff like that. That's been my passion, to learn from that and to know that. And as we were talking earlier, what I found is that I used to always say this, And this bothers some people. Actually, I was just talking to a girl the other day because we really love each other, but she's really all Jesus, you know. And I was saying, oh, there's millions of paths to me to source. You know, to me, there's infinite paths to source, where all these beings have their own path, their own way. That's my way to look at it. So that's why I've always used it life force or source. I don't like to call it just one. And she goes, well, I have to disagree with you. As much as I love you, she believes there's only one. You know what I mean? And it's Jesus, but that's fine. You know, I'm not gonna, I don't believe, I believe we are all, every single one of us is on our own path. No person on this planet is exactly the same, right? And that's the beauty, you know. But as we talked earlier, the core of us as a human being, we're identical. You know, what we really want in life, which is love and family, you know, and peace and harmony and security and all those kind of things. We all want that, right? And then whatever religion that was taught to us when we were young, either we're holding on to that or whatever we've chosen as we got older, that's our path. That's fine. I don't have any judgment. I honor everyone's path, because it's all unique. You know, it's all unique. So I'm trying to use words that's kind of more universal. So the word, because to me, I'm into science too, very much into science. And so science is energy, right? And Einstein has proven, they all have proven, everything is energy. 99.99999% energy, right? So I really see it as energy. I see the world, I see beings as information energy fields, right? And so that's science. So I stay with that, but also when I say source, I believe from my experience is that there is a creative source field, energy field, life force field that is running this whole system, that makes this body do what it does every second, that makes the plant grow, that makes the seed turn into the tree, you know, that magical force that holds everything together, the sun and the moon and the everything, you know, the everything. There's a force there that runs the system. And when you tune in to that, because that's really what you are, and that's what everything is, that's what namaste is. When you recognize that in yourself and you recognize that in another, because that's what we really are, is that life force, right? And then we're just our personal personality expressing our version of that life force, right? And our unique, beautiful version of that life force. So I use those kind of words because to me, they're a little bit more universal, you know, and inclusive. And I honor everyone's religion. I honor everyone's path. And I'm just trying to use verbiage that I said would connect to everyone. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And, you know, I am on the same page with you. I know, you know, like as a Muslim, we have a lot of diversity in the Muslim community in terms of how we understand even what God is like. I mean, for example, Muslim scholars and philosophers have been arguing about the nature of God and, you know, how God relates to us and so forth for like ever. And you know, at the same time, I think one of the things I appreciate so much about being a Muslim is that the vast majority of Muslim scholars recognize that the diversity of opinions that exist within our community and among us as humans in general is actually one of the blessings that we have been blessed with. And therefore, the diversity of opinions and just the diversity that of our being in every way that expresses itself is something to be appreciated and honored, really. And you know, and in that context, to to honor each and every person's right, actually, to think for themselves and reach their own conclusions and walk this path to, like for us, our Muslim philosophy is that, we are returning to God. We are from God and we're returning to God. And so to walk this path of returning to God, that each person, we have the right to choose our own path as per our understanding. So, yes, I'm so with you on this aspect of your thinking of honoring everybody's path.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I used to say, I don't know if this will bother people, but I just always imagined, if you got like all the original spiritual teachers, from every religion and you put them in a room, I think they'd be like high-fiving saying, "Hey brother, we're speaking the same language." They're all getting like the path you're talking about. Every one of their message is bringing us back to God or back to source, and I mean, to me, it was just always so obvious. And I don't think there can only be, I'm sorry if that bothers you, but I don't think there can only be one path because there's so many people, right?
Indeed. And in fact, this idea of if all these different amazing spiritual teachers that we know about, if they were to get together, what would they do? We actually have stories about this in the Islamic tradition.
Oh, cool. Really?
Yes.
Actually, I would love to hear that.
Oh my gosh. So some people obviously take these on a more literal level, and other people interpret them more metaphorically. But we actually have stories where the Prophet Muhammad, for example, on one occasion, he described that he was transported to heaven. Well, that's the word that's used, but and on his journey to heaven, and when he was there and he was having that whole experience, actually at some point he was in the presence of all the prophets that had come prior to him. Because one of the very core teachings in the Muslim tradition is that throughout human history, God has sent prophets and messengers to people, and messengers and prophets have been sent to all people, like in terms of all the different parts of the world and all the different communities of people. And Islam also teaches that actually all of these different prophets and messengers ultimately had the same basic message that they were teaching, that God is one, that our creator is one, sustainer is one, and that only this one creator, sustainer, God, our source, should be worshipped. Like no one else deserves to be worshipped other than this creator, sustainer, God that has created all of us and sustains all of us and is the source of all of us. And so that was the essential message. And it also recognizes that, so for example, in the Quran, Moses, Abraham, like all the prophets of the Bible and the Torah, they're all recognized as prophets in the same, in the same chain, of which the Prophet Muhammad was one, one of the prophets. And so all of these, so there's actually like in this journey that he took to the spiritual realm, he was in the presence of all of these amazing people. And there are actually some really interesting stories of his engagement, in particular with Moses.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Oh my gosh, because the reason that engagement with Moses is particularly significant is from that we get so Muslims have been prescribed, like if you're being observant as a Muslim, one of the ritual forms of worship that has been prescribed to us is 5 daily ritual prayers.
I love that actually. That's tuning in 5 times a day.
Exactly. At
Oh,
least,
it's so brilliant.
yeah, I mean, really, we should be doing that all day,
Yeah,
every
yeah,
moment.
yeah,
But like
yeah.
5 times when you do it in a ritual format and you're bringing this additional element of consciousness and action in the ritual prayer. And apparently, according to the story, when first God prescribed ritual prayer for the Muslim community, we were supposed to perform 50 ritual prayers every day.
Wow.
Because actually, Moses, who said to the Prophet Muhammad that, you know, your community will not be able to adhere to this. This is too much.
Wow, I
You
didn't know
need to go back to God and get a concession.
that. Oh, it's interesting.
Yes. And so, the Prophet Muhammad listened to Moses's advice and, went back, as it were, to God and did like this whole process of, God, please, can you give us a concession? And whittled down the 50 times a day to 5 times a day.
I love it. I love it. No,
Yeah.
I think that practice is amazing. I mean, it's like, again, because not only are you tuning into God, source, that you're tuning to each other, and you're connecting because thoughts are connecting, right? Energy is connected. And so I mean, it's one of the most, to me, it's a brilliant practice for a religion, and for people just to create that container worldwide, worldwide. You guys are like, connecting and having those energetic wires, all that's creating this thing straight to source, right? Isn't that cool? That's power. That's creative power, big time.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. Ah, I must say that, I mean, my gosh, I think that's one of my favorite aspects of engaging in any form of ritual prayer or meditation or healing practice. Um, that sense of connecting with other people who are doing the same thing. Often, or sometimes, or at least some of those people at exactly the same time and place that I am. But
Directions, right?
oftentimes it's like maybe at a different time and or a different physical space. But nonetheless, you do get energetically connected and you can experience that connection.
Yeah. But I'm saying you guys even do it a direction, right? It's a directional thing.
We also have a directional
Yeah,
element
yeah.
to it. Yeah, actually, yes. In the Quran, initially when Muslims first started praying, they used to pray in the direction of Jerusalem because Jerusalem is obviously, has all these historical links to, that Jesus was present in Jerusalem, Prophet Abraham was, present, and that, or Moses, I should say, rather. We know historically, or have reason to believe that he was present in that area, and so on and so forth. So, there are all these historical ties. And so Muslims actually used to pray facing in the direction of Jerusalem. And then at some point, a commandment came that we should start to switch directions and start praying in the direction of Mecca. Well, more specifically, the the Kaaba, that's the holy mosque in Mecca, that we believe was actually built by Abraham and his son Ishmael.
Oh, wow.
So it's actually an acknowledgement of our common Abrahamic roots, and honoring those Abrahamic roots.
It's very powerful. Very powerful. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. Oh, neat. This is wonderful. And so fun and easy. I'm seeing that on your screen here. And that's something I wanted to bring up real quick about with like the stuff that I teach and do, with especially with this program or with anything. Once you clear your stuff, you know, and you learn, I give tools and techniques how to continuously do it on your own. Like I help and how to continuously do it on your own. Once you do that, you'll start to see, because it's never ending, right? We all have stuff. I mean, you gather it. Plus, when you're, again, we're all interconnected, right? So it's all floating around and stuff like that. So, but you start to have fun with it. It's like, it gets to a place where, you know, and easy, you get to a place where it gets easier. You're not like holding on, resisting. You learn not to do that anymore. You know, I help get rid of the anxiety and stuff like that. So once you get rid of that stuff, then if something pops up like a reaction or something, you know, oh, there's another one, okay, you know, and then you learn how to trace it back and to get it done. And then you start having kind of fun with it, like, oh, wow, look at that one, you know what I mean? And you just laugh at yourself. So it does become more fun and easy. It's not so serious and bogged down once you start to release more, right? And then when you do that and you get into the fun and easy, like you're saying, you know, part of change, and it's part of life, you just accepted it, this is part of life, then you can start, because then you flow with it better, and then you can start creating your ideal life from it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the goal, because then you can start like becoming the co-creator, you know, with the whole scene. And then it gets really fun, right? Really fun.
Indeed. Yeah. And I think that our source, to use your terminology, I think source has always meant for us to be playing this role of co-creator. I mean, that's why we have this ability, you know. I mean, the language that I sometimes use, or the analogy that makes a lot of sense to me, is to think of myself in my human form as like if all of existence is the ocean and I'm a drop, and so I'm not the whole, but I am a drop, and essentially I'm the same energy, the same, you know, like, but just in drop form, right? You know, and so in that context, you know, like we really do have the same capacities and the same. I mean, it's because source is alive that we are alive. It's because source has the capacity to be creative that we have the capacity to be creative, you know?
You just allow it, right? Yeah.
And so it's like, oh my gosh, we have always meant to be in this kind of relationship with source, where we are co-creating in that way, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yes. And I love, again, relationship, you know, because it is a relationship. And when you foster that relationship, you know, in love and gratitude, oh, talk about power. Because when you tune into it, right, and then you start to play with it, it plays with you, you know, you have that relationship with it, and then you're in constant love and gratitude for it. Oh, man, talk about amplification of what comes through and what you're able to do. You know?
Yes, because the more you have a loving relationship, I mean, for me, the essence of love is that realization of connection with whoever it is or whatever it is that you feel love for. You know, and so when you feel love for source, you're actually recognizing, realizing, feeling your connection with source. And it's not an all or nothing game either. It's like there's there's depth to, you know, how much love you can feel and experience. And actually our capacity to experience and feel that love is actually infinite. So you can keep growing and, you know, like
Yeah.
love more, more.
Yeah. I'd love to high five you right now on that one. And yeah, to me, I love that you said that, because that is it to me too. It's like, it's almost like it's an invitation by source in every moment. How much are you going to allow love to come through you? You know, how much are you going to allow yourself to feel that love and to give that love and to share that love and to be that love, you know? And it's like, and it just, and then you just let more, and then you just allow more. And that's when I say, when you get rid of the stuff that's not that, and you tune into that which is that, you know, the love, then it is, you're right. It's like, it was funny, I had an interview one time because I was like really, really high on it, and then that moment and high on love, and I was just like so into it, and I was just like going, I thought I was like there, but just like, it's like almost I thought I was gonna explode with it, you know what I mean? But then it's even more, you're right, it's infinite. Isn't that cool?
It is so cool. It is so cool. And you know, oh my gosh, I to realize that is, it's just so, I mean, you know, like that, one of my teachers, his favorite saying is, if you're not growing, you're dying, you know? And in the context of like understanding that our capacity to be in a even more like infinitely loving relationship with source, I'm like, you know, this actually is an opportunity to keep growing. And so we never need to be dying.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, at some point our physical body will
Right.
perish, but you know, this is really the key to our being able to live forever as spiritual beings, and in a spiritual context, that we get to keep evolving and deepening our relationship of love with source.
Yes. Ah, good. Very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. That's it right there.
Yeah.
You did it, girlfriend.
I think that's something that I really appreciate about Hindu philosophy, you know, and understanding of life and meaning of life, because in Hindu philosophy they have the concept and the idea of reincarnation, and you know, like that, you know, when you die, in terms of a particular form of you in the physical world dies, you're not really dead, you just come back in another form. And the reason that you are in this cycle of coming back is because you're on this journey to sort of purify yourself more and more and get to that place of deeper and deeper love, you know, for source and with source. So that is, you know, I mean, we can gain some really cool insights from every single tradition and perspective, and there's something valuable in that we can take from and use it to enhance.
I love the word you use, purify, because that's actually number 2 on my program. Number 1 is tuning in. Number 2 is purifying, right? And it's recognize exactly what you said. You know, first you tune in and you create that relationship, and then next you allow it to purify you, you know, and you work with it, and it's all a purification of all that's not really you, so that you can, you know, feel exactly what you're feeling, you know, that that it's and it's fun. And I love when you got there. It's like it's hard to even grasp words for that, because when you know that feeling and you go into that feeling, you know, there's no words for it, because you do, when you say you're the drop in that ocean, you just kind of dissolve into
Yes.
that ocean as is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But this makes me think. This makes me think about one time I was in a healing workshop. We were talking about this concept of, I'm a drop, and, my goal as a drop, like from a spiritual perspective, is to ultimately melt into my ocean, into my source. And one of the participants in the workshop was very triggered by this idea, because he was like, no, I don't want to melt into anyone or anything. It's very important for me not to lose myself, and I want to remain me. And he was really triggered and distressed by this idea of melting into something else. What's your understanding, or how would you, like, if any of our listeners have that kind of a concern, how do you respond to it?
Well, that's very common. You know, that's the ego, right? It thinks it's going to die. So, and its job is to keep you alive. So if you have even the concept of losing, like you said, losing self, I'm not going to lose myself, then you're dead. And that's the biggest fear, right? They think that they're going to be dead. So that, you know, that's a very common thing to experience, and what you have to do and what it's asking you to do. And it's a part of the life's lessons, you know, and life will give you the lessons to get it, which I've had many of them. It's surrender. You know, you're going to have to get to a point. You're going to have to get to a point where your soul, which wants to do this, wants to be one again, knows it's one. It's not even wants to be, it already is, but it wants to attune with that and live that and be that. But you've created this personality self to protect you. You know, we all have. And that's, again, in my program, helps people. It was funny because when I went through this process myself, I learned at a certain age, a certain place, that it was like almost like it was so clear that I wanted to, like, align my personality self with my soul self, my true authentic self, because it felt like I created this strong personality self to get by in life, but it got to a certain point where I didn't feel people were seeing me, or I wasn't expressing my true authentic soul self freely when this is here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I didn't really want to get rid of it. It's not, I don't think you get rid of the ego. I think you blend them together, you know, and that's part of the process, is you learn to blend them together and work together, because you still need somewhat of an ego to get by here, somewhat. But they blend, and then your authentic self comes through, and you feel okay, and then it's easier. And it's a process, because as you start to do that, and you've been through it, I know, I can tell, you know, you get through this, you go through the process, and then you surrender more into the process. You just become more, when you become more attuned to it, to that process, and that which you are, it becomes easier, you know, because you surrender more and more into it. And people have this thing, word of surrender, too, like, again, they're going to lose something of themselves, but you realize you gain way more than you lose. You know, each part of you that surrenders into source, to the everything, you know, you actually are gaining more, way more than losing. So it's a process, and as you're in that process, and as you do it, and I know you because I could tell just by the way you talk that you know what I'm talking about. You've done it, you know, you're in it, you're doing it. And each one of us is at our own stage of that, right? So it's really, that's what my program is. And that's what, like your teachers and stuff like that, you will find your soul. When you say, I want this, I really want, and that guy, I'm sure he resisted, but I could tell if he was in that program, if that program didn't do it, he's going to keep going because his soul wants it. Right. So he resisted there, but it's the seed's been planted, and it's going to start to grow in him, and he's going to start to loosen up, and it's going to start to go, and it's beautiful as a teacher because you could see that when it starts to happen. So even that guy that's resisting, it's a beautiful thing. He's in that place for a reason, and he wants it. His soul wants it. Our soul's going to get it. It's going to take over. Yeah.
I agree with you. And I think for me, I know in my journey, like for me, it was a matter of what stage of healing I was in. Because I mean, we have all experienced traumas in our life, big or small. And, like for me, I experienced a major trauma as a child because I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse. And so for me, that major trauma really had a major impact on me in terms of my growth and development, but also my need for healing. Right. That trauma, right? And so when I was in the earlier stages of my healing process, I had huge power and control issues in that I felt the need to control anything and everything in my life, because part of what was so traumatic in being subjected to that experience of sexual abuse was that my power was taken away from me.
Right.
That's how it felt in that moment. And so the reaction to that trauma was this need to now be in control of everything. And when you have that need to be in control of everything, to think about melting into anyone or anything else, it's like terrifying, and not just terrifying, but like against everything that you think you need and want at that stage of your life and healing process. But as you continue to heal, you begin to appreciate that the surrendering that you're doing to source, it's not like surrendering to any other person or thing in this world. This, like you said, this surrendering to source is actually freeing and making you more powerful. And I think we confuse sometimes when we talk about or think about the idea of surrendering. I think we get confused between the difference of what the experience of surrendering to source is like and what it means and the impact it has, versus if you're surrendering to a person, to a person in this world. And to like, in some ways, even now, I am like, no, I choose not to surrender to any other person. With any other person, I maintain my right to always think for myself, to always judge for myself, to always follow my own conscience. So in some ways, I might choose to follow along and listen to authority figures, so far as it aligns with my values and my conscience. But if I ever get to a point where my conscience doesn't allow me to follow what any human authority figure is saying, I'm like, I feel very empowered to be like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's, again, part of You're right, because that's my passion, to help people. So that's the thing. You tune in. Then when you purify, the most important first one to purify is that core trauma.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I do, is put people, and I do one-on-ones with that. So when they're on my program, I work with them once a month, one-on-ones, working, getting that core trauma is the most important. And then, purifying all the rest of the stuff. But that core trauma is huge. But once you get that, and then I love that, because you're right, because once you get into that and the power, because once you cleanse this stuff and you tune into that power, then you reclaim your power back.
Yes.
Right? Because when those things happen, you said that, God, you're so good with words. But when those things happen, you feel disempowered, right? Your power's been taken away. And you've given your power away all your life, like to teachers, to, spiritual leaders, whatever. We've given our power away to the doctors, to everyone, beyond us. And it's time to call that power back and start trusting ourselves, because we know what's right for us. Our body knows what's right for it. We know it's tuning back into that knowing, right? And that empowerment within yourself. I'm so with you on everything you're saying. Yes, and good for you. I'm so glad you got to go through that, that healing experience, because that's huge. Yeah.
All true source love.
Yeah.
True source love.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for you.
Oh my gosh. I'm having so much fun talking with you.
I know.
And I think we need to start wrapping up for today.
All right.
Do you have any last words that you would like to share with our listeners for
Again, I thank all of you for being here. I think there's a reason that everyone's here. I hope to connect with all of you. I know I keep talking about my program, so I want to say there's the way to get on that. I have a website. It's oneonly.love. So they can contact me through that if they want to have information on the program. And I honor every single one of you on your path. And I thank you for being you. That's another program I have. Thank you for me, because I thank everyone on this planet for being them, because you're all unique. You're all important. You're all special, and it's just great to connect. So great to connect.
Thank you, Cher. And for those of you who are listening or watching this interview, please make sure you check the show notes, because we will be dropping Cher's links there, so you can connect with her through her website and any other links that she shares with us to share with you. So check those show notes, and until we connect next time, I just wish you lots and lots of peace and joy.
Oh, and right at you too. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.